Welcome to The Favorites, the podcast presented by Bet365. We are part of the Volume Podcast Network. I am Chad Millman, Chief Content Officer of the Action Network. I am live from my Tommy John home studio, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, my companion, my compadre, my BFF, professional bettor, Simon Hunter. Hello, Simon.
Hello, Chad. Fix the camera, brother. We're all good to go. Ready to bet some ugly dogs, and hopefully the takes are so hot it doesn't overheat the camera once again.
Well, listen, I feel like just in the pre-show banter, I felt like coming into today, we would be on the same page, and I don't feel like we are. So let's get to it. I'm feeling a little like a little sad today. Last night was my last curriculum night as a parent for my kids. My senior had his curriculum night last night.
What is curriculum? Is that back to school night?
It's back to school night.
Oh my
Back to
God,
school
hate the
night.
name change. Hate the name change.
Yeah, I don't know. That's what they call it here in West Hartford.
Oh
Back.
my
I think
God.
I think when you become a senior in high school, it's no longer back to school. It's very serious. It's curriculum night.
No, they should be reminded they're still children. They're children, okay? It's back to school night. Maybe in college, I get it. I get it. When the parents come and visit, they can give it some name, but that's crazy name change.
Well, listen, whatever it is, it's over for me. So now all I have to look forward to is what we do on this show. And I'm already upset. I'm even more upset because we can't get on the same page. We'll have to talk it through. There's no one else in this marriage, Simon, but you and me. All the outside noise has to go away. You and I have to come to an agreement. Today is our NFL Week 3 Best Bets episode. Simon and I will narrow down our 5 picks in the Favorites podcast, $100,000 Pro Football Pick'em contest presented by Bet365. Sign up, favorites.actionnetwork.com. We will also get to our FoxHole, our Tommy John Big Balls Bet of the Week. Simon's biggest bets are boosted money line underdog parlay at Bet365, plus our underdog round robin parlay. We're still debating if we're going to give a survivor because we are so out of survivor that we don't even want to talk about it anymore. Bets are rolling in. Lines are moving. Decisions need to be made. As our friend and Volume podcast boss, Colin Cowherd, likes to say, there's a sea of money out there. As a reminder, the Favorites podcast is presented by Bet365. And this just in, new Bet365 customers now get $200 in bonus bets when you bet $5. Sign up using promo code FAVORITES. Deposit $10 and place a bet for $5 to get $200 in bonus bets. Those bonus bets can be used on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary. At Bet365 must be 21 or older and present in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Iowa, Louisiana, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, or 18 and older in Kentucky. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. Terms, conditions, restrictions apply. All right. Thursdays during the season, we like to hear how the wise guys are responding to our Tuesday conversation. That's how influential we are. We are so inside. Lines are moving based on our conversations, and the pros feel compelled to weigh in. Simon, I bet there's a lot to discuss. You and I did not discuss sharp calls, but let's get to it. Sharp calls.
Yeah, let's discuss that. It's more split this week than I thought it was going to be. Last week, it felt like it was very one-sided. This week, there's a lot of split games. One game we're probably going to pass on. We haven't talked about. The pros are pretty split on this Chargers-Pittsburgh game, right? I think a lot of people are looking at the Chargers are a better team with a better quarterback, and this is a good spot for them. And I think me and you are a little bit lost in that one where it's like we like Pittsburgh, but don't know if it's going to be one of our final 5. The pros absolutely love the Vikings this week, right? We saw that number open at 3.5. It's down now to most books at 2.5. So not too shocking there. We'll get into that one more. I think it has a lot to do with Brian Flores, but pretty crazy that number's moved so much. So Another game we're probably going to get more into this Raiders Panthers game. The pros love the Panthers. They love the Andy Dalton bounce back spot. I told you my hesitation is, can they get stops on that defense?
I have
And
thoughts on that.
yeah, so that's
I
going to
do have
be it.
thoughts.
I think a lot of pros had thoughts on it. So that's why they're kind of saying that this Raiders team, one of the worst run teams in all of football, they're a little overrated as well after that big win. This spread to them should be closer to 3.5 than it is at 4.5, 5. So pretty interesting that I was a little not loving that one where I wanted to be on the Panthers, but I just thought it was a bad number. The pros think that's a good number. So if you have any hesitation, I get it. The Panthers haven't looked like a real team in 2 weeks, but that's who the pros are backing this week. The big one we got into a little bit. I think I've crossed over, Chad, to the Ravens side. The pros love the Ravens. This is a game we're going to have to dive into because it's one of the favorites I do like. Obviously, Lamar, 20-1 straight up against the NFC. I think most professionals, that jumps out to them, right? He just historically has won these games against the NFC. And the one loss he did have, if people don't remember, was against the Giants. This fluky game where they were up 10, they lost it in the final 2 minutes type of game. So for those early games, that's where they're at. Two games we and Chad love, the pros love as well. Atlanta, I thought no doubt this would be in our contest. I think Chad's come around on it a little bit as the weeks went along here. This is definitely a professional sticking the flag in the game. We all have the same view. There's some major questions right now about this Kansas City offense. And then Chad's going to be happy to hear this. A game that I was not totally in on, but I'm coming around with it, supporting my guy Chad. The Jaguars. It's a good number. It should be closer to 4. It's still at 5 at most books. To me, the professionals I talk to that love that number, they've already bet it. They're hoping, right, that by Sunday, everyone starts putting Buffalo in their teasers. Everyone starts betting that number up, and maybe it does get back up to 5.5, 6. So if you want to wait on that one, I totally get it. I'm still grabbing the 5 now just in case more professional money comes in and bets it down. So, a lot of road dogs this week for the professional bettors.
I feel like this is going to be a little bit interesting because there are games that I love that I know you don't like at all, and games you love that I'm a little bit on the fence on. And then there's a couple games I think we can guarantee are going to get in there. This is going to be a fun one. Quick note on Thursday Night Football from our friend Evan Abrams, director of research, who's going to join us on the show. After the opening week of the season, the New York Jets haven't closed above a field goal favorite versus a team that is 500 or better since 2012. When, by the way, one of my favorite songs, Call Me Maybe, was still on the Billboard Hot 100 charts. It's so random that Matt Mitchell chose Call Me Maybe because, no joke, my wife and I were out on Saturday night. We were listening to live music here in the Hartford area. We're fun like that. And the couple we were with, someone said that she loved to sing karaoke. And I said I had a list of like karaoke go-tos. Call Me Maybe is on the list. What do you think of that?
Oh, God.
Simon, you're learning so much today about me. I never fail to disappoint. I must be the most predictable person you know.
I just love how different our lives are. Like, I think I dropped LSD on Monday and did karaoke, and Chad's out here saying, Call Me Maybe is one of my favorite songs. We're just in totally different worlds right now, my friend.
Oh my God. It's so we could not be living a more different life. That's
It's
so
true.
funny. All right. Let's get to our final 5. I'll tell you right now, this game, Denver at Tampa, Denver's a 6.5-point dog. I love this game so much. I love everything about this game. I don't know how we are not going to put it in our final 5, Simon. Like, I know we are afraid Bo Nix can't throw a touchdown pass. This is the biggest luck rankings game on the board. Of all the ways we can slice and dice the luck rankings, home versus away, the delta in our overall luck rankings between unlucky and lucky, early in the season versus late in the season. The team in Denver spot covers 64+% of the time. Our rankings have the Bucs as the luckiest, the Broncos as the second most unlucky. Vita Vea out. Antoine Winfield banged up or either out or playing very hurt. Bo Nix started against two really good defenses. Is he now getting a break? Simon, I need you to be my betting buddy on this.
Yeah, I would say my only hesitation, Chad, is what is going on in college football? These rookie QBs keep getting worse. That's my fear. Like these kids all look lost. And I'm worried that because of the way the bettors are in this new order, and I mean, Evan can even talk about at the end of the show, this back in the day would have been a 10-point spread. In what world is this not a 10 or 11 spread? And that's what's really pissing me off here. It's like, I agree with the number. I make it 7. So yeah, I have value towards this Bucs team, but you just nailed it. Like Bo Nix should be able to move the ball against his team. Jared Goff, I think he was 1 for 7 in the red zone, right?
Yeah.
That was the struggle of that game. So you're able to move this ball against this Buck team, but it's like, if they're going to do the Patriots thing of, the Belichick way of just once the team's getting the red zone, they're done. We've seen that with Bo Nix now. It's just he struggled when he gets down there. So that's my hesitation, Jed. Other than that, I agree with everything you've said. Like, why would we not buy low on this Broncos team? Why would we not sell this Bucs team that clearly got lucky to not only win that game, but win the way they did, right? Their defense has so many injuries. So you can get me around to it. It's just you're throwing out 3 or 4 really ugly dogs this week that are big numbers. We got to pick 1 or 2 of them. We can't take all 3 or 4, right? We can't take the Jaguars, the Panthers, and the Broncos. That's usually doesn't work out well for us. We just blindly take these gross dogs, which I do agree with them, but it's tough trying to cipher through all of them. It's like, okay, at least I'm getting a bigger number on some other guys that I do have more confidence in. Like, I know it's crazy to say, but I do have more confidence in Andy Dalton than I do in a Bo Nix type. So that's just what I'm trying to save us from. I do agree with the luck rankings, though, right? This definitely makes sense. This one team, the Bucs, have been lucky to start the year, where Denver has had some bad luck. But that's my hesitation, Chad.
All right, well, they're not in the final 5 yet. I do think we've got a couple games that we feel really good about the final 5 that we are going to get to. I feel very good about the Broncos. I'm a little nervous because I don't think that line is going to be any better than 6.5 in the contest. I haven't bet it yet because I'm waiting for the number to go back to 7. I think it will get there. It's trending that way. The juice is sort of an indicator that it's going to go back to 7. But man, I want to bet this game so bad. Guess what? Guess what, Simon?
Yes, sir.
It is time. It is time for our Big Balls Bet of the Week, presented by Tommy John. If you've got the balls, Tommy John has the support. Great games start with great underwear, and Tommy John makes the greatest, as you guys know. I love it. All right. Houston at Minnesota. Minnesota's +2. Massive pros Joes split here. 65% of the bets on the Texans, 70% of the money on the Vikings. That's why the line has moved from 3.5 on Sunday night to 2.5, now down to 2. You convinced me of this. I was a little bit nervous because I was anxious about the line movement. I think it's moved a little bit too much for me to feel comfortable going all in on it. But for the contest, you feel like we're ready to roll. State your case, Simon Hunter.
Yeah, it feels nice for getting, especially 2 and +2.5 in the contest. But this is not so much banking on Sam Darnold, right? I think he will keep doing what he's been doing, and the hope is that they'll have their wide receivers back and everyone will be good to go. And if obviously there's some late scratches, me and Chad are happy to switch this one out. But Brian Flores, I mean, we haven't really talked about it, what he's done through 2 games with this defense. And even last year, I mean, I couldn't believe how they were so good last year when they just had a bunch of nameless people. And it's kind of carried over to this season, right? He's turning guys into names and putting people in the right positions. And it's the exotic blitz packages they're running right now that's really working. And in his career, he's done well against these first year two quarterbacks. So it makes more sense when you dive into it why this number is calling down. I know that public perception is Houston's a much better team. This is a team people project go to the Super Bowl. The books know that, right? There's a reason they're 0 for 2 this year on the spread, and each non-cover is by half a point, Chad. Like, the books kind of know what they're doing here with this Houston team, right? They know that the public money will come in. So the fact that they've moved it down, even though they know come Sunday, a lot of money's going to come pouring in, because why would you not back CJ on the road and is less than 2 points against Sam Darnold, right? It's a spot that I see them taking position on the public. So I want to grab it now. I would grab it now just because I do think professional money will keep coming down. This number will keep getting bet down. So I really love this our big balls bet. It's a tough one for me to swallow because it is Sam Darnold, but it's like I can't believe me and Chad now are backing him in this spot under a field goal against CJ. So Chad knows, though, we don't like backing CJ on the road, especially in a game where he's a favorite. So trust in the number, trust in this Vikings defense in this spot.
That's what we're doing this week. We're getting back to the basics. We're trusting the numbers. We're trusting our instincts. We're not being swayed by our bias against quarterbacks. I have been saying for over a year now, I think Kevin O'Connell is underrated as a coach, and I think he's finally starting to get a little bit of recognition because of what he's doing with Sam Darnold through 2 games that is similar to what he was doing last year with his rotation of quarterbacks and keeping the Vikings in playoff contention after Kirk Cousins was injured. So Minnesota Vikings, they are our big balls bet of the week. Our sponsor, Tommy John. They give me the kind of support I need and make me comfortable enough to invest in the Minnesota Vikings as our big balls bet of the week. You guys know this is the most comfortable underwear I've ever worn. It really is. It feels like a second skin. If you love Simon and I, if you love this show, you love Tommy John. Get 25% off your first order right now at TommyJohn.com/favorites. Save 25% at TommyJohn.com/favorites. One more stat for you from Evan on this game. Simon, dogs in this spot, undefeated versus undefeated in week 3, 13-9 against the spread. Home teams, 14-8 against the spread. So there is a little bit of trendiness to back up Minnesota Vikings. You mentioned off the top the Chargers and the Steelers, and I almost just want to skip this game because I don't think it's going to make our final 5. The line has moved in the direction of the Chargers. The line is now 1.5, opened at 2. There's more money than tickets on the Chargers, so I feel like it's wise guys moving it, especially when the money came in the early side of the week. Like it's to me, I just feel like it's too hard to play this game. I don't know if Fields and the Steelers offense is terrible or just play decent defenses. Is the Chargers defense awesome or just played against the Panthers? Is Herbert playing? Too many things up in the air for me.
Yeah, this is a fun game, though, honestly, if you're between professional bettors, right? This is an old school, new school mentality. The new school that bets trends and situational football, they love Herbert in this type of spot, right? He's actually performed well going from west to east as a covering machine. And I think just the old school guys I talked to love Pittsburgh here. They're viewing it of, they have good intel that Herbert's banged up and he's kind of toughing it out, right? The new Harbaugh way that he's going to play through this bad ankle in this spot. And it's hard for me not to like Pittsburgh, but I know the hesitation, right? We haven't seen Justin Fields have to make a completion down 3 points at all this season, right? They've been up in every game he's played in. So understand the hesitation. I get why you are getting a little cold feet on it, but maybe Sunday this would be a shocker if this somehow made it into our one with Pittsburgh. That's why I still like in this game, but I agree with Chad right now. There's 5 other games I like better than we sit here today, but I just want people to understand that it's a game that is split, right? And if you're having a tough time with it, so the professionals. I prefer Pittsburgh in the spot and Tomlin rather than backing this horrible team that I feel like has gotten a little lucky to start the year, rather than Pittsburgh that feels like their defense has earned every win for them this season.
Well, look, you've got J.K. Dobbins, who is running like he's superhuman, and you've got a defense that has looked great. We don't know yet if that Raiders team they beat up on week 1 is the Raiders team and offense that excelled against the Ravens or was terrible against the Chargers. We don't know yet if the Ravens defense, which we've said, is not nearly as good as it has been in the past. We do know that the Steelers have stolen 2 games because of their defense. So that is unquestionable. And we know that Tomlin is a great coach against the spread. And we know that that defense is going to show up, especially if TJ Watt is there. A lot of questions on this one. If it got to pick, like all of a sudden, if on Sunday it's at half, Steelers minus a half, maybe. I do think there's going to be at least 6 other games that we feel better about than the Steelers come Sunday. One of those games, Philadelphia at New Orleans. Eagles now a 2.5-point dog. Massive swing. And this is 50-50 split everywhere. Money, tickets, everything. You leaned the Saints on Sunday night when the line was Saints plus 2.5.
I didn't lean it. I bet it.
Yeah, I know. It's now moved 5 points. This feels like such an overreaction and such a letdown spot for the Saints. Like, the Eagles are the side here at this point.
Yeah, it's definitely a letdown spot for the Saints, and the Eagles do feel like the side. But the move does feel warranted in the sense that their offense is different without A.J. Brown, right? That deep threat is taken away. That is a big deal for this Eagles offense. So I get the movement, but you're right. Like, you couldn't have more opposite teams right now, right? The Saints, how do they not feel themselves, right? I mean, this is a team that – I can't remember. I'm trying to think of a team that's done this before. Like, we just didn't see a team coming. They put up back-to-back weeks of over 40 points. I'm running through my mind. I really can't think of one.
St. Louis Rams.
The Rams, right? Kurt Warner. That was the first one I could think of.
Kurt Warner out of nowhere. Honestly.
Out of nowhere. And that's the thing.
We kept waiting for that team to break, right? We kept waiting. Like, you didn't because, you were 5. But me, as an old person, like, that's the season I was writing the book, The Odds. And I was in Vegas every single week and watching bookmakers try to adjust as fast as they can, and then sweating the liability because they had opened the Rams to win the Super Bowl at 200 to 1. And so every single week they were trying to play catch up on this team, and you couldn't move the number fast enough. So I think it presents a real problem for people like you and the rest of the professional betting community on the Saints, because everyone was so down on the Saints to the point where some people were picking them to be last in the NFC South. All of a sudden, do you have to grade the Saints better than the Niners, better than the Eagles, better than the Lions? Like, it's a massive adjustment you might have to make.
Yeah, and I agree though with what you said at the very beginning, which is like this line moved too much, and hoping, we talked on Tuesday's show, I was really hoping that it would stay at 3 and maybe we'd get the bump up to 3.5. But you just saw that eventually professional money was going to come in and take that number at the 3. So I like this game. This is another game where it's because it's so early in the season, I don't have as much confidence I would later in the season, where it's you see this Eagles team having some growing pains, not just defensively, but offensively. And this matchup actually is a pretty decent matchup for this Saints team offensively about what they can do against this Eagles defense, because the Eagles don't have any pass rush. And we've seen Derek Carr, if he wants to do well, it's when he has no pressure. That's really when he succeeds. So he hasn't had to face any type of pass rush because his team has been up 14-3 in back-to-back games to start the game. But I'm with you, Chad. This Eagles team, you expect to bounce back, and at best, this should probably be a pick 'em. But public reaction has moved this so many points, right? And that the books, they need to protect against that. So if you are scared off about these Eagles at 2.5, right, make it a teaser leg. But to me, I'm with Chad. I have no fear here. I think the Eagles pulled the upset off, and we almost put this in our money line round robin, but maybe we'll stay there for the end of the show.
You've been, you and I talked about Philly sports radio and Chicago sports radio out of the weekend. Give me your, like, have people have been bashing Nick Sirianni for the call for Saquon and the throw, but why isn't that Kellen Moore's fault? Why aren't people going after Kellen Moore?
Because no one knows what Nick Sirianni does. That's the thing. I think in Philly, it's just, we were already, getting ready to push this guy off the boat. And, now he's on the plank at this point. Like, they're really, it's just the classic situation of when it's working and he says all of his stupid little phrases, it works. When we're not winning, it's just a bad look. So I told you, I don't panic about it. It's so early in the year. This feels like the first 4 weeks really is preseason to a lot of these NFL teams and coaching staff. So the big issue I had with him was not taking the 3 early in the game. But you know how I like it, Chad. I like teams to be aggressive. So, obviously foreshadowing and seeing the future, I didn't realize that was going to be the decider of the game, that 3 points that he passed on there. But I'm with you. I blame Kellen Moore, but I'm not mad at him that Saquon dropped that. I like the call. I thought it was a smart call in the sense that, they're going for the win there. But the pushback, I think, in Philadelphia is just Saquon could pick up 5-7 yards at a time. Why did we keep going away from that in the red zone and putting the ball in Hurts' hands where it just clearly didn't work in that game? So another matchup, though, for the Eagles against the Saints team. They should be able to run this ball at will against this Saints team. That's, to me, is the biggest weakness to the Saints team. So as me and Chad are back in this team, we need Saquon to have a day. And I think we're going to see that, right? This is the ultimate motivational game for a guy who just had, you could say a loss on him. So I definitely like this bounce back shot for this Eagles and this offense.
Saints are only the 5th team since 1990 to go 40-40 opening 2 weeks of the season. Thank you, Evan. All right.
Crazy.
We don't have a favorite we love yet.
I have the one favorite. Well, yeah, we'll see.
Green Bay at Tennessee. Tennessee -1.5 now.
Yeah.
Like, I decided I fell in love with Tennessee after, 3 days of research. I saw the line got to 2.5, and it was a 2.5 -115. So I was nervous the line was going to go back up to 3. And so I rushed to bet the 2.5. As soon as I put the pick in the app, no joke, within 3 minutes, I got a Slack from Matt Trebby, our NFL editor, who also happens to be a native Wisconsinite, who told me that Jordan Love was practicing yesterday. And then that line dropped to 2, and then it dropped to 1.5, which is where it is now. And now I just feel like a schmuck because I bet the Titans at 2.5. The Titans could easily be 2-0 right now, Simon. And I know, like, we're nervous about the Jordan Love factor here, and that's important. But, like, they're blocked punts and Will Levis bonehead plays away from being 2-0. Whatever worked for the Packers as a game plan with Malik Willis against the Colts will not work against the Titans. We don't know Jordan Love's status. Maybe there was a decoy. Maybe he's just getting on the field to get loose. But this Titans team isn't as bad as their record suggests.
Yeah, I'm happy you came around. I told you Sunday night I loved it. But you just said the big thing holding us back here is Jordan Love. Like, that's a 5-6 point line movement if he is the quarterback. And that's why I think professionals are taking a position on Green Bay, just in case that does happen. It's like, okay, what does this line go up to? -3, -3.5 for Green Bay? I mean, that's how big of an upgrade he is at the quarterback position here. So, to me, if this is going to be one of our favorites come Sunday, I got no problem putting this in, Chad. You know how much I love this Tennessee defense, especially up front. This is a perfect matchup for them going against Green Bay. Again, without Jordan Love. If it's Jordan Love, we have a little bit of hesitation there. But yeah, I love it, Chad. So if we could lock in the contest today though at 1.5 with Tennessee, and then it does go up to 3 when Jordan Love's out. Me and you will love that, right? That'll be the kind of game that will ruin our Sunday because we didn't switch it out.
Yep.
We should have for a different game, just because that's going to be great value on the numbers. So I'm right there with you. I love Tennessee. Have no issue making that our only favorite, but there is one other favorite I do love, but this one is definitely at the top where it's just defensively, I love the matchup. And it's just, man, we talk all the time. You got to bet these 0-2 teams straight up 0-2 against the spread in week 3.
Yep.
There's a couple teams like this. This is one of them I circled, so I'm with you, Chad, on this one.
We still owe people a foxhole. I don't think this is it yet because there's too much
Too much
uncertainty
unknown
at the quarterback position. We talked a lot about the Giants and Cleveland the other day. Cleveland's a 6.5-point favorite. We're still awaiting word on both tackles, Jack Conklin and Jedrick Willis, for the Browns, who have not played. The Giants, this is a good spot for them. A lot of luck rankings, advantages. Winless teams in week 3 go 60% against the spread the past 20 years. I don't hate the Giants here at all. I know it's ugly, but this is what we do. And we make these hard decisions. No noise, Simon. No noise. Talk me off the ledge on the Giants.
I can't. No, this Browns team just is lost offensively. I think they were 2 for 14 on third downs against the Jaguars. It's just all bad. So, to me, I know we don't do it on the show because, we only pick sides here, but the total feels very high. And I'm looking at the money on the site.
Yeah.
And it's like all the money's pouring in on the under, and it really hasn't moved much, which is a very interesting move by the sports books. I'm not seeing what they're seeing here. I just see this being a slug it out, ugly game with two teams that have major questions at the quarterback position right now. So you know where I'm at, Chad. I want the desperate dog, and there is no more desperate team right now than the Giants. They knew last week they gave one away, right? That's a spot that
Yes.
I think historically teams that score 3 touchdowns versus a team that does not score a touchdown usually win those games. So it's, man, to be a Giants fan right now, it must just be absolutely brutal. I can't even imagine, but this to me has got everything written about upset. So this could squeak in to be one of our 5 now the more I'm thinking about it, but it's like, it's the same thing where these big dogs, right? I think historically I haven't had an amazing number about it. Like these dogs of 5.5 or 6.5 are 9-0-1 or 9-1 this year to start. That's pretty crazy, Chad. So it's going to eventually go the other way at some point. So not to shock to anyone that we love these big dogs this week, but there's definitely reason to be a little hesitant on just blindly betting all of them. This Giants one of all of them, I feel pretty good about, just in the sense that it's still all about Deshaun Watson. I just don't think that offense is right yet. And, defensively, the Giants, they have one of the worst secondaries. Can he take advantage of that? I haven't seen anything to prove otherwise. So I like where you're at coming with a 6.5, Chad. I could see this being one of our 5.
Right now, I'm looking at our list, and it's Giants, Titans, Broncos, Vikings. Now we're getting back to it. No more of this Jared Goff, Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott bullshit, right? That's not how we play. It's not how we play chess, Simon.
It's true.
Chicago at Indy. I think you and I are split on this game.
Okay.
Line's at 1.5. I just think that I can't get behind the Bears yet. I don't love that the wise guys are backing them. Their rush defense has just not been very good. And that's what I expect the Colts to do and do well. I think it's a coaching mismatch. I think it's a home game for Anthony Richardson, a little bit more of a get right game. I can't find value in betting on the Bears, and I can find a lot of value in betting on the Colts.
Yeah, keep it moving. It won't be one of my like, top 8 bigger
Yep.
bets of this week. So you're right. It's another team. Colts 0-2 at home. Clearly going to be the more desperate team, right?
Yep.
If they know if they go 0-3, the season's basically over. So I get where you're coming from. It's just my view of it was just finally Caleb Williams is going to play against a defense that can be passed on, right? He's just been through the ringer the last 2 weeks and he's hearing all the noise. So it's just like, can he finally bounce back? And I do think your defense, they might struggle against the run, but they're so good in every other aspect of what they do. So,
Amazing in coverage.
yeah,
Their pass rush has been great. Like those two elements, they're top five. It's the run
if only
defense
they
there.
had Jalen Carter. I mean, only that's all they're missing is a D tackle in the middle. But yeah, I get where you're coming from. I'm happy to pass on it.
Miami at Seattle. This line is at 4.5. I think I think we both felt on Tuesday that the line had moved too much and there was no more value. I'm kind of having second thoughts.
Oh, okay.
Um, you know, like I like what the Dolphins secondary has been doing. The Seahawks won't have Kenneth Walker. Uh, the the Seahawks, I think, are getting a lot of credit for beating the Broncos and the Patriots,
Yeah.
and not doing it decisively. And even with Skylar Thompson, there's still so much more talent on this Miami team than there was on those other two teams. Still might be a little bit of value on this.
There could be, but yeah, I'm just not gonna get there.
Okay.
I tried even going through Evan's trends and reading all his trends and being like, there's gonna be something in here to get me on this Miami team. Just because it's another team that they should be 0-2. I mean, they got really lucky in that week 1, and it's like, all right, this is the kind of team I do like to back in these type of spots. Because Shad just said it, it's like the Seahawks. How are they not overvalued? But they're another team the books have had a pretty good read on, right? They're all also 0-2 against the spread this season to start the year. Both games not covering by half a point. So yeah, I can't. Is this really gonna be one of our 5? That's what I'm like trying to think here, Chad. Are we really gonna make this one of our 5? I can't do it, but maybe Chad, this will be one of his picks to put in. But as we sit here right now, I got no read on this one.
Well, look, if you ask me to choose between the Broncos and the Dolphins, I'm 100% choosing the Broncos.
I'd rather the Broncos there.
That's not even a question to
No.
me. Um, all right. People don't want to hear us talk about this, but I do think we have to be responsible and
Okay.
talk about Carolina at the Raiders.
Yeah.
Okay. Like this number has moved down from 7 to 5.5 off the Dalton news. Now it's down to 5. I know you had this rated at 5.5, so clearly you're not going to see value on the Panthers at 5. I know we believe this defense can't do anything, but I do think that just by having Andy Dalton be the quarterback, you're automatically going to improve the defense's chances to perform. I listened to Raybon and Stuckey on the Action Pod this morning. Raybon had a stat that the average field position for Panthers opponents has been the 39-yard line. The Panthers, the opponent's 39-yard line. So, like, you got to think it'll be better just from field position perspective. They'll be in a better position to stop the pass, to rush the passer. I don't know. I don't know. Like, if we were truly unfeeling, unemotional traders
Yeah.
working for Bill Ackman and one of the biggest hedge funds in the world, and we were committed, we would bet the Panthers here. We're not going to do it because we don't want our audience to fully revolt, but we should bet the Panthers.
A little bit, but it's also like we bought Apple stock at 100. Now we're telling people to buy it at 80. That's why I feel a little bad. Where it's like if you got a good number at the 7 or 6.5 on the Panthers, now you're kind of getting a bad number. But I get what they're saying too. Like Chris talking about this kind of spot for Andy and this team. Like we've seen this, right? Where the new quarterback comes in and does give a little pop to a team. And the Raiders coming off that insane win against the Ravens, you expect a letdown the following week, right? They're going to be feeling themselves all week here, but I don't know. I just can't get there. It's just I've watched. My problem is I probably watched too much of the all 22 of this Panthers team, and it's just everything. Like the only guy that felt like he was trying. That's not fair. The offensive line has been trying the whole time, but like there's a couple of times where these guys running routes would just take the routes off. You expect that to be different here with Andy Dalton, right? The wide receivers I lost total confidence are Bryce Young, so that is one thing I think that it's a big deal in this matchup where it's like I really haven't seen what the Panthers are because it feels like their team would give up midway through the second quarter. So I agree with you though. Like this Raiders team, this is a big number for this team to be getting, right? They aren't one of the best teams on football. They're a team that's still trying to figure out their own shit right now. So I understand what you're saying, Chad, but man, there's just other dogs I like more than this Panthers team. That's the hardest part is trying to get there on this number. It's hard for me to do.
I mean, it's like
They're
it's
so
like,
bad. This team is so bad. Like
but it's
coaching
also it's
wise,
like
defensively, it's so bad.
it's going back to the girlfriend again and again and again, no matter how many
How she hurts
times
us.
you've been burned, no
Yeah.
matter how bad she makes you look to your friends, no matter how often they are saying behind your back, what is wrong with this dude? He's such a sucker. Like they just keep getting me. All right. We'll put it on the list. Baltimore at Dallas. I hate this game. I feel
Why?
like there's new defensive coordinators on both sides. There's no running game to speak of. The Cowboys' backfield is terrible. I think
Terrible.
there's a huge identity crisis on all sides of the ball for both of these teams. We have four identity crises happening. Crises are happening. I don't know what you're seeing here.
I think the Ravens have just had bad luck. That's honestly what it is to me, right? They missed winning that first game by a toe. The last game, they were up 10, and then it just all went wrong in the final 4 minutes of that game. Like, not only was it like there was this weird play call where the Raiders got a big play, and then they're only down by 3. Then you have Lamar getting sacked and the punt. I think they punted like 20 yards to give the Raiders a short field. It all kept going wrong for this Ravens team where Dallas, I think we talked about coming to the season, we had major questions about their defense because they were so thin, especially on the defensive line that, they don't have guys to switch in and out, right? If that top unit is gassed and doesn't have it early on, it feels like Dallas can be cooked on defense. So, Derrick Henry's not been as bad as people perceive. Like this running game isn't as horrible as people think it is for this Ravens team. And let's throw some stats at you. Maybe I can get you the other side. Lamar, when the spread's under 3 points or less, so 2.5, or he's an underdog. He's 22-7 against the spread. Against the NFC, Chad, he's 20-1 straight up. This is a straight up line. It's one. So yeah, does this feel a little trappy? A little bit, because me and Chad wanted to be on Dallas here. But then you see CeeDee Lamb didn't practice yesterday because he had a bad ankle. And it's just like, oh my God. I mean, come on. If CeeDee's not right in this matchup, that's got to be a huge win for this Ravens team. It's just, what is the identity on offense if CeeDee's not right for this Dallas team, right? He is, to me, the key to that offense and makes everything go. As much as we want to say it's all Dak, it's like, CeeDee's the one that makes the big plays out of nothing. So I think I'll be able to get you there maybe on Sunday. Maybe I could convince you to get it in there now. But of all the favorites this week, obviously I put Titans number 1 if it's Malik Willis. But number 2 right there is the Ravens. They're 0-2 against the spread, Chad. 0-2 straight up. It's Harbaugh. I mean, we have to take them in the spot. This is what we always take the Ravens in this. No one believes in us back against the wall spot. But I understand your hesitation. It's just the vibes are so bad. No one would be shocked if they're 0-3 to start the year. But man, Lamar in this spot historically, we have the numbers that back it up. He does very well.
I worry about this defense, the Ravens defense.
Totally get it. I mean, we just saw Minshew go up and down the field on them, so I have no rebuttal against it. But it's bad right now for the Ravens.
We haven't chosen a foxhole yet. And the final 2 games on our list are already chosen as an exec decision and Simon Says. So we do have to get into a foxhole here.
I mean, Who do you think for Foxhole then? You want to do Eagles? 'Cause I know you're not here on the Ravens, but we're both on the Eagles.
I think it's and we did Minnesota as the big balls. I'm also not afraid of the Giants
All right,
because I
I'll make
know
that our Foxhole. I
I
like the
know you
Giants
won't
too.
I know you won't be in the foxhole with me on the Broncos.
I'm gonna bet it, but it's gonna be a little baby bet. Oh man, these rookie QBs are so bad, Chad. I can't get over how bad they are.
I'd
It's
rather be in the
crazy.
foxhole on Tennessee.
Okay, I'm with you on that one then.
All right. Sorry, Matt Mitchell. Sorry, Tito. We're going to the foxhole on the Tennessee Titans. We're in the foxhole with the Tennessee Titans. I'm putting them down. All right. Last couple of games here. Detroit at Arizona. I still see nothing. I know you're like saying Arizona. I have no feel. This line hasn't moved. Like, I'm not getting any sense. I don't see anything in the numbers. I don't want to do it.
No, it's fair. I like Arizona in the sense that to me they've been the more consistent team offensively. I think they know exactly what the identity is. Detroit just feels lost. I mean, this is the perfect get right spot for Detroit. That's why I'm not pounding the table for this one. But I mean, we talked about I love Arizona pull the upset off here. It's just if they have the ball last, I have confidence in Kyler Murray in this offense right now that he does have the weapons, and if they get a lead, even more so. Like that James Conner run attack with
Pretty
Kyler,
good.
yeah, it's pretty damn good. So my only hesitation, which I feel like you have the same, is this Arizona defense might be absolutely awful. And yeah, they beat up on a Rams team that had their third stringers on the left tackle's position.
Yeah.
Now they have the best offensive line of football coming in a get right spot. So totally understand your hesitation, Chad. Obviously, if this was 3.5, I think I'd be able to talk into this for contest. Right now, I checked; it was 2.5 in contest. Me and you both are like, we don't need to put that one in.
No, definitely not. Atlanta, Kansas City. We're definitely going to play Atlanta at 3.5. That was your Simon Says. Look, it's been getting a ton of money on the Falcons side. It moved from 4.5, really off of the Monday night game. But I, I I think the Chiefs' run defense is in trouble. I think that the Falcons' offensive line is the best rush offensive line in the NFL, especially interior on the right side. I think we saw what they could do when Bijan is the primary focal point against the Eagles. I think the Chiefs, and you said this best, like they're still figuring out who they are, and this is when you get them. And now Pacheco being out, they still really don't know who they are offensively. Travis Kelce hasn't been involved. They have one downfield threat in Rashee Rice. We don't know what Xavier Worthy is yet. Uh, Patrick Mahomes hasn't been that good.
No.
So yeah, Atlanta, go. Simon Says it's in.
Yeah, that's my biggest reason, right? Is Mahomes factor. I just don't think he's looked right, and I don't think it's going to get even better. I don't think it's going to get any better in this spot here. I still think he just doesn't feel comfortable right now with they don't know who their left tackle is, and that's a big deal. And obviously, defensively, Chad just touched on it. There are some gaping holes in this defense that can be exploited, and perfect run blocking scheme here for this Atlanta team to exploit it. So my only hesitation at all is still Kirk Cousins. As well as he did against the Eagles, we saw the Eagles had no pass rush, right? It was only up the middle they had any type of pass rush, and the veteran Kirk Cousins was able to step around it. We never really saw what he had to do when he was forced outside the pocket. So that to me is the only fear with this. Everything else, I love the number, love the spot. Home team, Sunday night, prime time. Every Joe Schmo is going to be going in there throwing the Chiefs in at the end of the day on their parlay or their teaser ticket, right? So my only hope was this would go up, but the reason I made it Simon Says was, I talked to a couple of really wise, sharp guys, and they were just like, "No, I'm gonna hammer this Atlanta line. This is gonna keep going down." It hasn't, right? There's been enough public money to keep this up. Like I'm looking right now, it's over 75% of the bets, 80% of the money at a couple books right now is on this Chiefs team. So that makes sense, right? The more public books are getting hammered on this Chief line, while the sharper books are getting a ton of Atlanta money. So I'm glad you come around on it. I know that it probably helped that Nick had Atlanta here in the luck ranking, so it
He
makes
did,
me
by
feel
the
good that
way.
you came around on it, Chad.
And this morning, I told you that I bet with a couple of friends,
Yeah.
and one of them saw me put Atlanta in the action app, my buddy Josh, and he's been hammering me this morning. I'm not going to question your judgment as the chief investment officer of our fund, but why are we betting Atlanta plus 3.5 against Kansas City Chiefs? And then I
You
went
should
through
just
a
text
whole
back.
explanation for
I was
them.
gonna say text back long-term winner.
Yeah.
Mathematically, this is we always talk about this is where you want to fade Mahomes at
Yes.
this
And
number.
by the way, I did. I'm like, look, historically, you are going to win money if you fade Patrick Mahomes as more than a 3-point favorite. But then there's all these other things. So we've done it. It's happening. Atlanta's in. Lock it in.
Lock it in.
The Jags. I'm glad you're coming around on the Jags the way I did.
Ooh, it's tough.
But you're with me. You're with me
I
because
know.
you're
Do you
wise guy
watch all
friends.
22 at all or no? Have you
What's
watched
that?
the Jags all 22 at all or no?
I have not watched the Jags all
Oh my
22.
God, man. I mean, I know Evan keeps telling us to fade Trevor Lawrence in the second half. I mean, even their game script to start the game, all of it was just so bad. So this makes me feel sicker than your Broncos bet. I'll
No
be honest.
way.
Yeah, it could all be really bad right now for Jacksonville, brother. But it's early in the year. I try not to overreact because I always say this. These first 4 weeks, I kind of treat it as a preseason. Same with the players. Trevor had moments, and he has guys open. He just was sailing passes. It was really bizarre. So this though is the classic spot where the Bills let down everybody. Right? They're on like 11 days rest after a huge divisional win on the road. That's why I'm getting so behind the chat because it does feel like another game where it's like same with that Eagles, right? We talked about that Eagles Houston 2-team teaser. Who was going to lose it? This feels like the same spot, right? Who's going to break this Monday night Cincinnati Bills teaser?
Yeah.
I just can't see the Bengals losing and going 0-3 against Washington. But the Bills dropping this game to an 0-2 Jaguars team, I can see it. And just matchup wise, there are things they can do defensively, right? They have the athletic DNs that can give Josh Allen issues. And again, in this game, you know, Josh Allen's been playing like the MVP. That's the hesitation for me. But we both agreed on it. The Bills have had such injuries to their defense. There are ways to attack this team. So if Trevor Lawrence can't get right here, me and Chad might add him to the list, right, of guys we're just not going to be betting for a little while. So this is definitely a show it to me, Trevor Lawrence. We're playing the number. You can still get 5.5 in a couple books. I love that this is still above 4.5. So I'll take that number, Chad.
Bills sixth luckiest team in the NFL. Jags 29th or fourth most unlucky. They actually averaged a yard and a half more than the Browns last week. The Browns got lucky, went 3 for 3 on fourth down. The Jags went 1 for 4 in the red zone. And like, we just have to believe at some point, some of this goes the other way. Either
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence,
I mean, it's been what, a year and a half
it's been a
now of
year. It's been a
yeah.
year.
Yeah.
Like Trevor Lawrence, and we talked about Barnwell's column, Bill Barnwell from ESPN had a great summary of Trevor Lawrence's challenges in the quick passing game, meaning when he's got to get the ball off less than 2.5 seconds, he has not been good. And he has not been good in the red zone. And this team has been terrible in the red zone. Some of that has to eventually regress the other way. It will be this week against the Buffalo Bills, Western New York's finest. Shout out Matt Mitchell. All right. Our boosted underdog money line parlay, our sponsor Bet365 gives our underdog money line parlay an odds boost this season. We asked, they said yes. Each week we're going to give you a two-team money line dog parlay. Bet365 will have that highlighted on their site all weekend long. Our week 3 boosted underdog parlay, in deference to my BFF Simon Hunter, we are going with the Arizona Cardinals and the Minnesota Vikings. The boost will be featured on Bet365 soon. The more listeners who bet these boosts, the more picks we can get boosted. Go sign up so then we can start adding more and more teams into these fabulous boosted parlays. Both games are eligible for Bet365's early payout promo, where if your money line pick gets marked as a win, your money line pick gets marked as a win if they take a 17-point lead, even if they go on to blow the game and lose. If you want to bet this, bet it at Bet365. All right, let's do our money line underdog round robin. Obviously, we're doing Minnesota and Arizona.
For the big dog, I was almost there with you on the Broncos, but I think we got to go Giants, right?
Yeah.
Like they feel like the more realistic, most veteran team that could pull off that upset. So we got those three. Let's get Atlanta in there.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Minnesota, Arizona, Giants, Atlanta.
Now, do you believe in the Jaguars, or should we get real sick and go with our Carolina Panthers?
I mean, we could do Carolina. We could do Denver. We could do Minnesota.
We have Minnesota in there.
Oh, that's right. We have Minnesota in there. We could do the Eagles.
Let's go with Panthers, because I'm not going to make this one of our 5, but I'm a sicko. I just can't stop betting their money line.
You're sick.
Let's go Panthers.
You are disgusting. This whole show is disgusting.
Oh, I love that. I love that 5.
I don't know. Do we have to talk about Survivor? I don't even want to bring it up. We're not in it.
I'm back in. I bought into one just so I can keep it going, because I did feel bad. Shockingly, we have won People's Survivor contest. Last year, we had a couple people win, thanks to me and Chad not being total idiots to start the season. This year, obviously, most of you still listening to this had to buy back in, so not the same. For me, what I'm personally doing, I'm going. If you didn't use it yet, I am going Cincy. If you had used them, I'm going to go 49ers. Like the 49ers against this Rams team. This Rams team might be shutting it down pretty soon. So I'm going to take the, whatever it is, minus 355 now it's up to, this 49ers team to win outright in that game. So my 2, Cincinnati, the 49ers.
Scooch roulette. Last week you had the Cowboys -3. I had the Broncos +2.5. But in the rollover world, I believe in week 1 you had Philadelphia -2.5, and I had Tennessee +4. So you get to choose first again.
All right, keep it simple, stupid. I'm gonna go Lamar Ravens. I just can't see them start 0 for 3, so I'm gonna take the -1.
Wow, that's interesting. All right, then I think I will go with. I will take. Oh my God, it's so hard.
Dead air.
What's that? I know. I'm just so torn right now. I
Rip
guess
the Band-Aid.
What's that?
I said rip the Band-Aid off. Just go with your gut.
I'm taking the Broncos again.
Oh my God.
I don't know what to do.
You're a sick fuck, dude.
Evan Abrams, save me from myself, director of research.
Oh, man.
Give me some final words to make us feel good about something.
All right, I got a lot to get through here because I want to touch on some stuff you guys talked about in the show. Just one fun note. So you talked about Mahomes not being the same type of quarterback. So of 32 quarterbacks this year, average depth of target. The lowest is Jaden Daniels. The second lowest is Mahomes. It's 5.0 for Mahomes. For reference, rookie year was 9.1. 2022 was 7.4. It's 5 this year. So it's just ridiculous how different of a quarterback he's been. And then to answer your question, Simon, before, 2-0 at home, 0-2 on the road. When you're at home in that week 3 last 20 years, the average line is 7.6. So yeah, when you're talking about Denver, Jacksonville, those types of games, the line probably should be a little bit higher for what it's worth. So you're right. All right, into spiel. So as John Harbaugh said this week, the NFL season is a race to improve. And that is exactly what the Panthers are trying to do. So we're going to talk to Carolina right now. So the Panthers have gotten blown out twice to start the season. Over the last 35 years, we've seen 39 teams lose by 2 touchdowns or more in weeks 1 and 2. Those teams in week 3 are 25, 13, and 1 against the spread, 66%. But to me, there's just way more than that because of the Bryce thing, right? So I think it's worth touching on that. Since 2022, there have been 39 quarterbacks with at least 500 total plays. Dalton and Bryce are on the list. In terms of EPA per play, which is just expected points added, Bryce is dead effing last. Andy Dalton is 21st. In terms of success rate, which is simply yards gained depending on what down it is. You got to gain more yards as the downs go by. Bryce Young, dead effing last. Andy Dalton is actually 11th on that list. So call all the Toy Story fans, Andy's back. All right, let's talk about the Jaguars for a second. So Josh Allen has closed as a favorite of 4 points or more 26 times over the last 3 full seasons. Bills are 8, 17, and 1 against the spread in those games. Of the 46 quarterbacks that close over 4 points in any game in that span, that is the single worst ATS mark. So understand where you guys are coming from on the Jags. Now, talk about one bonus nugget with the Jaguars, which I literally found last night. Doug Peterson is actually 13-3 against the spread as a dog at night. Best of 136 coaches last 20 years. And he's actually 3-1 against the number with Lawrence. So decent spot there. And then I had to use this one. So here are 5 random quarterbacks: JP Lossman, Patrick Ramsey, Kevin Cobb, Dennis Dixon, and Kenny Pickett. What do they all have in common? They all were pretty terrible, but they're all above 500 against the spread in their careers. Sometimes you just have to bet really bad quarterbacks. Now we talk about the Miami Dolphins. So I'm just simply going to give you one stat. Backup QBs catching 4 points or more in their first start for a team. 2-0 this season. Justin Fields week 1, Malik Willis in week 2. Now we get Skylar Thompson. But those quarterbacks, 83, 58, and 2, 59% since 2013. Just hold your nose and do what you got to do. Skylar Thompson's 1-2 ATS career. Time to get even.
Matt Mitchell. Thank you, Evan. I would like to change my Scooch Roulette to the Miami Dolphins.
Oh,
I'm putting it in the script. It's official. I am taking the Miami Dolphins as
what
my
have I done?
I thought you were going to do Jaguars.
I thought about it, but I already made the Jags my exact decision. So I didn't want to
double dip.
I didn't want to double dip.
Double dip.
I'm so in on the Jaguars. I don't need to be like.
I know Evan's got me fired up. I wasn't as much, but Evan's got me now.
I'm way too far deep on the Jaguars. Not even the best number on the board.
No, I'm already looking forward to us sweating out Atlanta and the Jags.
Oh my God, we're gonna have miserable Sunday and Monday nights.
No, the best.
Terrible. As a reminder, the Favorites podcast is presented by Bet365, and this just in, new Bet365 customers now get $200 in bonus bets when you bet $5. Sign up using promo code FAVORITES. Deposit $10 and place a bet for $5 to get $200 in bonus bets. Those bonus bets can be used on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and present in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Iowa, Louisiana, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, or 18 and older in Kentucky. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. Terms, conditions, restrictions apply. Simon and I will be back with our next episode of The Favorites on the Action Network YouTube page on Sunday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, to recap the latest and greatest in NFL Week 3. Simon, you notice that the more we lose, the bigger the audience on Sunday night. Download us from Spotify, Apple Pods, wherever you get your pods. Rate, review, subscribe, leave us 5 stars, say whatever you want. Feedback is a gift. Until next time, love you.